Well, hello and welcome to this edition of the Lynne Hayes Freeland Show. You know, every now and then, I shouldn't, not slighting any of my other guests, but every now and then I get really excited to introduce you to a guest on this show. And that's exactly how I feel about today's guest. Her name is Clarice Jordan. I actually found her in a newspaper article in which it was being described that she was receiving the Carrie Stoner Founders Award. Her story caught my attention. She's on the show today, and I can't wait for you to hear her story. Clarice, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I find your story inspirational. It is emotional. You have lived since you were 18 years old with HIV.
I have.
And you have lived, maybe I should say that again, you have lived with HIV. Take me back. You found out when you were 18 that you had been exposed to HIV.
I did. I found out in June of '89 that my boyfriend, my only boyfriend at the time, the only man that I ever knew that way, had given me HIV. He got it through drug use and prostitution.
Okay.
And he didn't tell me. And that's how I found out he had it. I found out because he tried to get in the service. So you imagine your brother being a naval recruiter and having to come home and tell your mother that he tested your boyfriend and he tested positive for HIV. Because back then in '89, you couldn't get in the service. Tested positive for HIV.
Mm-hmm.
So then I came home from school.
Let me stop you for just 1 second. How much did you know about HIV then?
Nothing.
Okay.
I knew absolutely nothing. I knew what I thought I knew was that it was a gay white male disease.
Okay.
That's all I knew.
Okay. 87. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I found out in '89, but they said I got it in '86 when my first time having sex with my partner.
Okay.
My boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And so back then I knew nothing. I can remember being in school at Westinghouse High School in a health class where someone came to talk to us about HIV. And I can remember sitting in the back of the class saying, well, this don't have anything to do with me. I'm not gay. I'm not white. Females, we don't get this. And didn't know I already had it.
Wow. And so you actually found out that you had HIV how?
My mother, when I got home, my mother sat me down and she told me that my boyfriend had tested positive and he couldn't get in the service and I needed to go and get tested. And of course I did. I went and got tested and my test took a month and a half to come back. And she called me in her office and I should have knew because I was trying to get her to tell me it over the phone and she would not. She told me I had to come in. And when I came in, she came in the room, in the examining room, and she said, Clarice, you're HIV positive. You're going to die by the time you're 24.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that.
And you're there by yourself?
Yes. I'm there by myself. There was never no, are you okay? Do you need me to call someone? Do you need a hug? There was nothing. It was just, you're HIV positive and you're going to die. Basically make an appointment at the front desk.
So now what do you do with that? What do you do with that?
I think I was in shock when she first said it. So I could just remember leaving out of the room, making an appointment and going to the nearest payphone. And just the first person I needed to talk to was my mother, because, most children, when things happen, I talk to mommy, things are going to get better. So I needed to hear my mother's voice. So I can remember calling her on the payphone and I said, Mommy, I'm HIV positive. What am I going to do? She said, I'm going to die by the time I'm 24. She said, baby, you come home. Don't you say nothing. God will provide. And so I think for at least about a month or so, I was just in denial of what had happened to me.
Right. How did I end up here?
Right, exactly. And then there was that part of me that felt like, because I was born and raised in the church, this was God's punishment on me, that I had did something, because I had premarital sex. This was my punishment.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do? No one's going to ever want me. I'm going to die. And then it was just a matter of me pretty much waiting to die.
Mm.
Those were my first, at least about 5 years.
Wow.
After I got infected, I was just sitting, waiting to die.
And so then we're going to have to take a break in just a second, but I'm curious. So then when did this light go off that you didn't have to sit and wait to die?
Like I said, it was like 5 years later from me getting diagnosed. So I got diagnosed in 89. So 5 years later, I was sitting in my apartment, and I can just remember saying, what are you doing? Are you going to sit here and let this disease just take you out of here? Or are you going to get up and fight? I tell women all the time, I connected to the warrior in me. And I picked up the phone, and I looked in the phone book and found Pittsburgh AIDS Task Force. And I called them, became a client. Then I told them I wanted to volunteer, because I was not going to sit at home and just wait for HIV to come and take me out of here.
Wow.
I was going to live. And so that's what I began to do. I began to volunteer, and I started speaking, and I helped in the buddy program and all kind of things, because I just made up my mind that I was not going to die.
That you were not going to die. Hold that thought. We got to take a commercial break. I told you you'd be glad that you tuned in today. We'll be right back with Clarice's story. Don't go away.